Hey everyone, the Oscars have passed and we have a new set of winners for next year. Coda has won Best Picture, and Will Smith, Jessica Chastain, Troy Kotsur, and Ariana DeBose have taken home the acting awards. So while many people usually do prediction videos about what they think the Oscar race will look like for next year, I wanted to take a more different approach at it. There are already tons of articles listing 20 or 30 nominees for each category next year, but I don't want to do that. I want to tell you about some movies that I think can make it into some very specific categories. These can range from big ones like Best Picture to more craft-oriented categories like Best Costume Design. So, let's start casting ballots for the 95th Academy Awards. David Fincher is one of my favorite directors out there. He's possibly made the scariest movie I've ever seen in Seven, my favorite movie of 2011 in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and is one of the most praised directors working today. His next work is the adaptation of the French graphic novel The Killer by Matz. Michael Fassbender will star as the titular assassin. I've never been disappointed by a Fincher product before, and hopefully that doesn't start with this right here. Now, the IMDb description of this movie is, an assassin begins to psychologically crack as he develops a conscience, even as his clients continue to demand his skills. This sounds right up my alley, and it could be just what Michael Fassbender needs to score himself only his third Oscar nomination and second Best Actor nomination. Also, look at all these performances to receive acting nominations while Fincher was directing. Fassbender would become the 8th different actor to get an acting nomination from a Fincher-directed film. This article by Deadline also talks about how this is a reunion between David Fincher and Andrew Kevin Walker, the man who wrote the screenplay for Seven, in which he received a Best Original Screenplay nomination at the BAFTAs. I feel like we could see a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination for him at the Oscars next year. As for Fincher himself, don't be surprised if you see him land his 4th Best Director nomination for this film. With 4 nominations at both DGA, Golden Globes, and Critics' Choice, along with 2 BAFTA, it would be safe to say you could see Fincher's name under the Best Director nominees for next year. Finally, this could be a sneaky dark horse for Best Picture, and before you dismiss it, look at the past. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Social Network, and Mank all received Best Picture nominations, while The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Gone Girl have both received nominations for Best Theatrical Film at PGA. If The Killer gets a Best Picture nomination at either PGA or at the Oscars, it will be the 6th film in a row directed by David Fincher to get the nomination. That's if it's done in time for the next year. I'm gonna be honest, I'm afraid for this one. The Academy has been friendly to Yorgos Lanthimos' films in the past. Dogtooth received a Best International Feature nomination, and The Lobster received a Best Original Screenplay nomination. Then, in 2018, his next film, The Favorite, received 9 nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director to Lanthimos himself. However, this new film, Poor Things, could be a little bit too weird for the Academy's taste. Here are both the Wikipedia and IMDb descriptions for the film. It makes me a bit afraid for its chances in anything besides Best Adapted Screenplay. Tony McNamara is writing the screenplay, and last time he teamed up with Lanthimos, he won the Best Original Screenplay at BAFTA for The Favorite, and got the same nomination at the Oscars. Also, don't count out Emma Stone for Best Actress. Look at this track record. She received a nomination every other year since 2015, and while this won't be another 2 years, she did get a Best Supporting Actress nomination the last time she teamed up with Lanthimos. This next one doesn't need any introduction. I think everyone has had to read All Quiet on the Western Front in their high school years. A story about the dangers of war and the impact it has on everyone. It is creepily relevant to today's time. The last time we saw this movie be made into a feature-length film, back in 1930, it won Best Picture. Now, I don't see why it can't do that again. I could see this getting a couple nominations. Best Picture, Adapted Screenplay, Director for Edward Berger, and Daniel Bruhl for Best Actor shouldn't just be brushed off. If that ends up happening in a year's time, come back to this video and listen to where you heard it first. No, you didn't read the last entry wrong. The last movie I think you should look out for is written and directed by none other than Medea themselves, Tyler Perry. Now, don't get me wrong. I know this could seriously backfire on me. This could be a shot in the dark and finding a diamond in the rough, and I look like a genius. Or it could be like when people were predicting Cats for Best Picture in 2019. The difference between this and that being Tom Hooper was an Oscar-winning Best Director, and Tyler Perry... Yikes. So yeah, I could be taking a serious risk with this one. But listen to the description. According to IMDb, the premise of A Jazzman's Blues follows an investigation into an unsolved murder, unveiling a story full of forbidden love, deceit, and a secret. So, I'm not the most confident in this, but if it gets any love from the Academy, I could see it possibly getting nominations in Best Original Song, Score, or maybe, and I mean maybe, Screenplay. I'd hope we get some cool jazz/blues score, or some original songs from a movie called A Jazzman's Blues. And if this ends up at the Razzies, then maybe I shouldn't take chances on movies anymore. So, 4 movies, a couple nomination predictions, and maybe a shot in the dark. We'll see how everything turns out at the 95th Academy Awards in 1 year's time. And as a bonus, here's some movies I think we'll definitely see at the Oscars. The Fabelmans, a story about Steven Spielberg's life growing up in post-war Arizona. Spielberg has done movies about his life before, like in Poltergeist, but I feel like this one is going to be closer to Kenneth Branagh's Belfast than anything that Tobe Hooper has ever made. Killers of the Flower Moon. It's Scorsese, and Scorsese doesn't miss the Oscars. The Woman King. Viola Davis and the director of Love and Basketball teaming up for a historical epic inspired by the true events that happened in the Kingdom of Dahomey, one of the most powerful states of Africa in the 18th and 19th centuries. Yeah, I definitely think this is going to make it to the Oscars. Canterbury Glass. 3 of David O. Russell's last 4 films were nominated for Best Picture, and Joy got lead actress Jennifer Lawrence a Best Actress nomination. On top of that, he's teaming up with Christian Bale again, and has quite the ensemble cast in addition. Babylon. Damien Chazelle is going back to stories about Hollywood. Not only does the Academy love movies about Hollywood, but his last film like this, La La Land, tied for the most nominations at the Oscars with 14, and was 1 envelope away from winning Best Picture. We have time until the 95th Academy Awards, and we have a lot of movies to watch in that time period. So, in the meantime, go to the movies, go on Netflix, Hulu, Prime, HBO Max, Disney Plus, or whatever, and watch some movies. And if you liked this video, think about giving it a like and subscribing. Thank you, and goodbye.